Today, I'll be reading from the movie Superfly, one of my favorite movies of all time.
You may know him for his spot-on impressions, but his career, it's so much more.
I'm just getting started.
Really?
Yeah.
Okay.
And that's because I wake up with fresh legs every day. I don't wake up thinking about my resume.
But the resume, it's impressive with movies, TV, and comedy, but he's still all about chasing his goals.
I never wait for Hollywood to give me an opportunity. I'm always creating my own opportunities.
You know what? Enough of me talking.
Yeah, you might want to shut up, because I'm really good at this.
Actor, comedian, Affion Crockett.
On the Pulse.
Guys, welcome to another episode of The Pulse. We're always bringing in people who are doing cool things, sharing their stories. I gotta admit, I'm always a little hesitant when you got comedians, improv folks, because the host of the show always ends up being the target. So you gotta be careful.
As long as you behave, you be all right.
We'll be all right?
You be safe. Yeah, man.
Affion Crockett, comedian, actor, producer, doing all kinds of things.
Yes, indeed.
Appreciate you coming in.
Thank you, man. I like what you've done with the place.
Right. We have. So I was sharing the story of behind the scenes. But it's interesting. This was our supply closet.
Nah, but that goes to, the ingenuity of, I'll say it, black people.
Right.
Okay? We gonna figure it out. Okay? You give us a pig, we gonna make some chitlins out of it.
That's interesting. Starting there, and it's completely off the beaten path. Mm-hmm. But the biggest challenge in doing this show was getting folks to come in and have the discussions and kind of sit down.
Right.
When you're making the decisions to do that kind of thing, because you don't have to do a
Right.
lot of this kind of stuff. You got millions of followers on your own promotional outlet on social media.
Right.
When you're making the decisions, what makes you decide to do them?
To come sit down with you?
Not just me in general, but different shows.
I mean, when we're doing like a comedy tour or a venue, right? They have their contacts and who are their credible pool of press outlets.
Okay.
And so, once it's on the list and once my agency is sending it to me, I'm like, all right, yeah, cool. And when I'm in a local city, I like to sit down with who's moving the culture there. So
Okay.
that's what makes it worthwhile for me.
Credible was
No
the
doubt.
key.
No, of course.
But I feel like someone like you could sit down with somebody even if they weren't. Like that would be the wrong person to pick a fight with.
But I wouldn't.
Fair
You know
enough.
what I'm saying? Because everyone now that has a phone, which is 7 billion people, everyone thinks that they're a journalist now, and they have a podcast. And I get DMs all the time that I never open, but I can see the message. Like, hey man, love to have you on my podcast. Timing is everything.
Right.
Because there was a time in my career when I would run up to people and say, hey man, give me a shot, give me a chance. And that wasn't the time. So I looked crazy to them, and I didn't take it personal.
But you had to put in the work, as you said. So that's kind of the message. Put in the work, put in the grind. I mean, you're still putting in the work even at this point in your career.
I feel like I'm just getting started.
Really?
Yeah.
Okay.
And that's because I wake up with fresh legs every day. I don't wake up thinking about my resume, because the resume can actually weigh you down.
Okay.
You know what I'm saying? Think about that, right? They tell you if you're, in an accident, like say you're on a cruise ship, right, and it's going down, don't try to grab all of your luggage.
Right.
Because you're going to sink. Yeah. You're going to sink trying to swim with all of your belongings. So leave that stuff there and start fresh.
I like it.
So I wake up every day like with that
Ready to
mentality.
grind.
Yeah.
All right. Take us back a little bit, because we're talking about this kind of walk through the success, and you're continuing on that path, doing research and looking into, you're still, because I was on your Instagram, still a hip hop dancer.
Yep.
Still somebody who does that. You got started pretty young. Like, how'd the career get started?
Talent shows, you know what I mean? My parents would take me and my brother to whatever talent show was in town. We would win a lot of them. A lot of cash prizes, at the time was like $25, $50, but that was everything to us. Or a trophy, to win a dance contest. Something that you practice in your living room, bedroom, and you take it to a live stage in front of a crowd, and then you actually win when you're up against other people who did the same type of practicing. That's the first bit of confidence that you need, right? And so that's what I needed. That was the boost that gave me the confidence to be able to stand on a stage and know that the audience was probably going to like what I was doing.
Okay.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And then in the 90s when Def Comedy Jam was the biggest show in the world, I wanted to be on it. You know what I mean? And I just was like, I don't know how I'm gonna get on this show, but I'm gonna start trying to do comedy. I'm gonna mix it with my dance talent, and that was my path. I set out to get on Def Comedy Jam because I figured if I can make it there, I can do anything.
Def Comedy Jam was tough. Def Comedy Jam was like the Apollo. Like,
I
be
did the
careful
Apollo.
what you wish for.
I did the Apollo in '92, and did Def Jam in '95. So Apollo was my breeding ground. Me and my dance crew, we went on Apollo, and they loved us on there. So again,
right.
I was like, we didn't get booed off. We didn't win because they gave it to a gospel singer, that competition, but they stood up for us and was clapping, and they loved what we did. So I was like, wow, I just came to New York. A kid from North Carolina just came to New York City, Harlem, at the Apollo on 125th Street and got that crowd to stand up and clap and cheer. So it was a battery in my back.
Yeah, and it's funny you say that because as dancers, comedians, the Apollo could be tough.
Yeah.
You mentioned the gospel singer. I feel like black people won't boo the gospel singer because we feel like,
look, if you singing a Fred Hammond song off key, they gonna boo you.
I don't know. I feel like it's in us. Like people start singing gospel and we're like, oh, all right, baby.
Well, you're not
Keep
booing
going.
God. You're booing the misrepresentation of God. So get your butt off the stage, man.
People stood up for you at the Apollo.
Yeah.
You do Def Comedy Jam. You continue to grow. Which one of those was the big break? You got the feeling at Apollo. Mm-hmm. When did you go, all right, this isn't a feeling, this is a career?
Honestly, I got to give credit to Nick Cannon with Wildin' Out. Getting on the shows to make me feel like I was in the right direction, heading in the right direction. You know what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Coming up, for us, his impressions are hilarious, but for him, it was really just his stepping stone.
Was it impressions that got you started in comedy? That's what a lot of people know you for.
Yeah, impressions is what gave me the confidence to stand on stage in front of Def Comedy Jam.